Chapter 11 Arrays. It's an important chapter. What is an array? An array is a collection of elements having same data type under the same name. We can consider, we have learned is one variable. What is a variable? A variable can hold how many elements? A variable can hold one and only one element. But this array can hold multiple elements. That is, array can hold multiple elements or collection of elements having the same data type. Means all the elements of the same data type. That is, if it is an integer array, we can hold only integer values in that array. If it is a float array, we can hold only float values. What are all the data types? Fundamental data types: int, char, float, double. That is, these are the fundamental data types. Then definition of the array is, an array is a collection of elements having the same data type under the same name. And types of the array. First one dimensional array. One dimensional array means, in one dimensional array, you are using only one subscript for accessing the element. That is, if you want to take one element from the one dimensional array, we need one subscript or index. Okay. Then two-dimensional array means it is an array in which each element is accessed using two subscripts or indices. That is, how many index we required? Two indices or two subscripts. In two-dimensional array we are using two subscript. One-dimensional array we are using one and only one subscript. Then multi-dimensional array. It is an array of n dimensions. In this chapter, we are dealing with only this one-dimensional array and two-dimensional array. Then first one-dimensional array. Definition is, it is an array in which each element is accessed by using one subscript or index. And also, this index is having the data type integer. Array subscript, data type of array subscript A should be an integer value. Okay. That first we can consider declaration of one-dimensional array. See the syntax. Data type, array name, size. Array, this bracket should be square bracket. Okay. We have to specify the maximum number of elements you are going to store in that array. Data type should be any data type, valid data type, int, float, double, char or anything. Then the array name. For example, int a of 50. Int a of 50 means, what's the array name? Array name is A. Then what's the data type? Integer. Data type of an array is integer means all the elements should be of integer data type. Okay. All the elements should be of integer data type. Here the maximum number of elements. This is the size of the array. In the first example, size of the array is 50. Size of the array is 50 means it is not implies we need to store every time we need to store 50 elements. This means as size is 50 means the maximum number of elements is 50. That is, we can store 5 elements or 10 elements or 20 elements like that. The maximum number of elements is 50. And all the elements should be of integer data type. In the second example, double A of 100 means the maximum number of elements is 100 and all the elements should be of the data type double. And here the size, the max 50 and 100, this should be an integer value. Okay, the subscript should be of integer data type. So the size should be an integer value. This 50 is an integer value. This 100 is also an integer value. But this array, data type of this array is double. But see here, this 50 and 100 should be an integer value. The size or subscript of an array should be an integer value. Then next, initialization of one-dimensional array. What's the initialization of a variable? That is, initialization of a variable means we can give the value for that variable at the time of declaration itself. That is called initialization of a variable. Same like that, initialization of a one-dimensional array means we can give the values to an array at the time of declaration. That is called initialization. See, data type, syntax is data type, array name, size equal to list of values. See, in that the declaration time itself, here we are giving the values to that array. For example, int a of 5 is equal to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay. Int a of 5 means maximum we can store 5 elements. Maximum we can store 5 elements. In this example, we have stored 5 elements also. The elements of the array are 10, first element is 10, next 20, 30, 40, 50. All these elements are stored in the contiguous locations, in the memory locations. Then we can consider how it is stored. Int a of 50, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 means the subscript array is a of 5. So the subscript is starting from 0 and the subscripts are 0 to less than 5 means 0 to 4. The subscripts are 0 to 4. That is, the first element should be a of 0. First subscript is 0. First element is a of 0. A of 0 is, here a of 0 is 10. Next subscript is 1. That is, a of 1 is 20. A of 2 is 30. A of 3 is 40. A of 4 is 50. That is, the subscript is starting from 0. If the maximum number of element is 5, the subscript is 0 to 4. Then, that is, what is the definition of one-dimensional array? One-dimensional array means for accessing the element, how many subscript we required? One and only one subscript. That is, for accessing this 30, we need the subscript 2. That is, a of 2 is 30. We need one subscript. That subscript is 2. That is, we are using only one subscript. That is why it is called one-dimensional array. One-dimensional array means for accessing the elements, we need one subscript. Okay. Then, what is the data type of the subscript? Data type of the subscript or index should be integer, int. If it is a character array or double array or anything, the subscript should be an integer value. Here, all the elements are of data type integer because it is an integer array. An array is a collection of elements having the same data type under the same name. See here, 5 elements are there. All the elements are under the name A. Under the same name A. Okay. Then these are the subscript. Then the array elements are A of 0, A of 1, A of 2, A of 3, A of 4. Elements are A of 0, A of 1, A of 2, A of 3, A of 4. Subscripts are 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Next, if there is less number of elements specified than the size of the array, the remaining elements to be filled with 0 by the compiler. For example, int a of 5. Int a of 5 means we can store maximum 5 elements. We can store 2 elements or 3 elements or 4 elements, or maximum we can store 5 elements. So in this example, we are storing only 3 values. Only 3 values, 10, 20 and 30. But maximum number of elements is 5. Maximum number of elements is 5. But in this example, we have stored only 3 values. Then in such a case, the remaining element should be filled with 0 by the compiler. For example, here A of 0 should be 10. A of 1 is 20. A of 2 is 30. Then A of 3 and 4 will be filled with 0 by the compiler. Okay, the remaining elements, suppose if it is a 100 element array, if it is A of 100, the remaining 97 elements should be filled with 0. Actually, that is the disadvantages of this array also. If you are declaring 100 element array, and if you are using 2 elements, the remaining 98 space will be waste. That is, first itself we need to know about the size of the array. How many elements we are going to store. If you are declaring too much elements, that the remaining space will be vacant. The remaining elements will be filled with 0. That is the wastage of memory. So, if you are storing only 10 elements, if you are planning to store only 10 elements, you declare it as a 10 element array or maximum 15 element array. You won't store it, you won't declare it as a 1000 element array. Okay. Then array means array is a collection of elements having the same data type under the same name. Then one-dimensional array means for accessing the elements we need one and only one subscript. Okay. Then data type of the subscript should be an integer, int. Then declaration and initialization syntax. Declaration of the one-dimensional array syntax is data type, array name, size, that should be square bracket and semicolon. Initialization means we are giving the values at the declaration time itself. That is called initialization. Initialization syntax is data type, array name, size equal to list of values inside a curly bracket.